Let's discuss laser phase noise and the impact it has on optical coherent detection. So there are many different kinds of phase noise, but we're focusing now on laser phase noise and the origins of this. Now remember the acronym lasers, light amplified by stimulated emission of radiation. The A stands for amplification. So it's nominally monochromatic. We expect it to have a single wavelength that comes out of a laser. But this gain medium inside of the laser, it provides power. It makes the laser more powerful. But in addition to the stimulated emission, there's also spontaneous emission. And the spontaneous emission is the source of noise in laser phase noise. It causes variations in the carrier density. And these variations in carrier density lead to a broadening of the spectrum. So instead of having a single wavelength, we actually have a single wavelength plus a factor which we call the phase noise in the system. So noise transforms the spectrum of a laser. This phase noise, instead of being a single delta function at the nominal output frequency, here we put in frequency f0, instead of being this Dirac delta function, what we have instead is something that has what we call a Lorentzian shape. So very characteristic of this type of noise. Now, we want to characterize what we call the line width of a laser. The line width of a laser says how fat that spectrum becomes due to these effects of phase noise. So this thickness we define via the power spectral density of the laser, the spectrum of the laser, and the Lorentzian shape is given by this expression, and the delta nu here is what we call the line width. And this definition means that it's the line width at full wave half maximum. So if I take the maximum and I go down 3 dB, wherever that 3 dB point is, the thickness there, the width of the shape, is what I call the laser line width. Now, line width varies by laser. Depends on what kind of laser. They will have different characteristics for their noise. For instance, an external cavity laser, an ECL, is a more expensive laser, but it's often under 100 kilohertz of line width. And it can get down as low as something like less than 10 kilohertz. Very, very narrow. So it's a closer approximation to this ideal Dirac. Very narrow line width lasers. We can also use distributed feedback or DFB lasers. And these lasers are much less expensive, but their phase noise can go from 100 kilohertz up to a few megahertz. So we can see here, if we were to look just at the power spectrum density of these two different laser types, it would be quite obvious, looking at the line width, that the amount of phase noise is quite different between these two. So in the on-off keying, a DFB laser might be the laser of choice because it's inexpensive, but when we go to coherent detection, these levels of phase noise may not be tolerable, and therefore we might have to go to the more expensive. This is one reason the coherent systems can be more expensive than direct detection. So we're going to use coherent detection. We're going to use complex waveforms for our data modulation. So when I use coherent detection in optics, at any given symbol time indexed by k, the data, the D here stands for data, is going to be coded into both the amplitude and the phase of the light. So A of D and theta of D. So if I were to look at an equation for the baseband received signal at time k, when I say baseband, I mean I've stripped off the carrier. I'm no longer working in optics, and now I'm working in the RF domain, and I'm at baseband, nominally at 0 frequency. And in this case, I can write the received signal as this data, which is in the form of an amplitude, and of course here I see it in the phase. But you'll see that in the phase, I have another term here. And this other term is going to be related to the phase noise. Of course, I also have additive white Gaussian noise. Of course, can't get rid of that. But so my received signal is the data, a phase noise, and also an additive white Gaussian noise term. So this theta of k, which is the laser phase noise, what's the impact on QPSK? Well, remember, QPSK is normally 4 dots. These are 4 phases. I have, in this case, the amplitude is always 1 when I'm using QPSK. This is an example of QPSK. And instead of having dots, what I might expect is I might have additive white Gaussian noise. And additive white Gaussian noise might give me a little cloud around them, okay? We've seen that before. But it's a nice circular symmetry. That's what additive white Gaussian noise does. But what I see here is very, very different. What I see now is what we call angular blurring. In the angle itself, I'm starting to get some distortion. I don't know, it's becoming less clear what was being transmitted. Now this is a fairly large phase noise, and we can see that this distortion is starting to impact my symbol decision. It's going to be very difficult for me to tell what symbol was transmitted when I'm getting close to the edges here. So the source of this angular blurring is coming from this phase variation that's sort of doing a random walk, and we'll explain what we mean by random walk, but around these nominal 4 points, the phase is going up, it's going down, it's going all over the place, and it ends up creating this arc. So if I were going to look at a lower noise phase system, I would look at something that looks much less blurring in the angular domain. In this example, I've modified both the AWGN and the low, excuse me, and the phase noise. So you can think of the sort of the width here as being associated with this additive white Gaussian noise process. And here, of course, this arc is not as fat, and so that means that I've got lower AWGN. But most importantly, this arc that I'm tracing out is much smaller. And because of that, that's due to lower phase noise. And because it's lower, it's less likely to cause errors than, of course, if I had a large phase noise. So in discussing laser phase noise, we can say that, first of all, additive white Gaussian noise creates something that look like circular clouds around the nominal symbol. But when I get phase noise, laser phase noise, it creates arcs instead of these circles. So it's something that's very characteristic. Now, if I look at constellation, the shape, this arced shape, will vary depending on how much phase noise I have and how much additive white Gaussian noise I have. If the additive white Gaussian noise is really huge, maybe I won't even see the arc because it'll be inside of the circular cloud. But in any case, phase errors will cause, phase variations will cause errors if they're not corrected. Because the nature of the phase noise is if we let it run long enough, it will eventually span those arcs and eventually lead to blurring.